Well, it's Tuesday, March 12th here in Plant City. This is the time, and this is the current temperature out after the time change. Since this bougainvillea was my first video where I removed the flowers, and then a later video where I restructured it and pretty much defoliated, I decided to start with my update here and showing it. Here it is from the other side. Looking down on it, you can see that it's just overwhelmed with buds and new leaves, new potential, and the design is different. In my second video, I removed the flowers from this other bougainvillea, and you can see that it's a root of a rock and it has great potential. There's a small update on the black pines. As you can see, they are starting to expand their buds. One of my later videos was on this river maple, and you remember the samurai mentioned that one of the branches was dying. Well, not one branch, but a multitude of branches died. Now, was it because of the massive roots that I cut off, or just the attrition of this type of tree? Here's the other side of the tree. You'll see that some of the branches are really growing out, and I will let them grow out. Before we go to the oak, I wanted to show you this oak that I'm training in the ground, cutting it back now, and next year I will dig it up. Here is the oak tree. You can see that it is also budding out nicely, especially at the top. Bunch of new leaders. Here's the pot that the river maple came out of. I put my grouping of Chinese elms in there, and they've leafed out completely. I'm letting them run for the moment, waiting for the right moment to trim them back. Here's the little portulacara, the variegated one, looking good. Do a little quick walkthrough of the yuccas that I have, and a couple of the golden jades. Big yucca that's going to be receiving a new pot. That one big branch right there in the front, the tall one, that'll be coming off. Little ones. Here's some cuttings that came from the yucca that were fertilizers, starting to look a little bit greener. Coming soon will be a video on this portulacara being repotted and resculptured. Here is the trident maple. It still has not leafed out. Actually, it's showing no signs of life though so far. But there have been pictures that I've taken in the past where on March 25th it still did not have any buds or leaves, so it's waiting.
Well, after much prayer, I did finally see buds on it opening up today. And this picture here was taken back in 2016 on March 27th, and it was just leafing out. Oh! Trees seem to be happy about it. This was not saying much. It's amazing, these old tree trunks, how they look. Here's one that's got his mouth barely open. And we got this event coming up in Pennsylvania with Corin. You should check it out if you're in the area. June 7th, 8th, and 9th.
Quick update on the Juniper that I first styled, Parsons or Parsona. The buds are starting to break on it. It's looking good. I've moved it into more sun. Here's the other Parsona that I most recently did. Still looking good. Waiting for its day. It's a patience game. One sign of a bud from these yucca cuttings yet, but the little Kishu Juniper cuttings are looking still very nice and green. No buds on these ones that are just in water.
We find many unusual things in nature. The yuccas that I have, I found them all, and they were just there lying with no roots. And I don't remember exactly how long it took them to root, but it's only been 50 days with the yuccas. This is what the buds look like when they come out. And the reason I'm showing you this Corvette, I have this little model Corvette, and I'm thinking about doing root over Corvette.
It's amazing the containers that you can find at yard sales. This flower vase that I drilled a hole in and turned it into a cascade container. All of these, if they didn't have holes, I drilled holes, just like the coffee cup I did a while back. And the metal one I showed in a video last week, I drilled holes in it and I planted succulents. I suggest succulents for anything that doesn't have very good drainage or no drainage. And of course, you can always spend the money, like that $17 container back there. Or you can go really cheap and use an avocado shell, like that one on top of the little green pot. Now, one of my favorite pots here I purchased last year. I plan to use it for this juniper here that has not had any video or anything done on it, but it's still a long ways off.
Speaking of prayer, we're having a jubilee at our church. I'm sure if this young man was here, he'd be going. And the professor here says, "Come one, come all." This little girl here, she's in heaven. And she says it's time to go. The end.